everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid health insurance program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply: your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
Hello. I don't know if you can hear me, but welcome to the Ghana Agenda. Today is February 19th, 2021. Today we have a packed show for you. If you cannot hear me, please signal so that I can, change my setup here quickly. I have my friends and guests in the studio ready to join and engage in the topics we table for today. Today we are looking at whether or not the recent arrest that we are witnessing in the country of somebody like Vomawo, Abronia, etc., whether that is justified. Okay, my camera is the first to give out here. We are talking about whether or not that is justified. They are using the Criminal Code of 1960, in fact, Article 208 and the Communications Act, Electronic Communications Act, Article 76, under that to charge the fellows that they've arrested. We are going to interrogate those laws. We'll break down the rules in each of those laws into the various elements to see whether it is even applicable or not. In fact, whether those laws should be changed or amended to reflect the times. Because, the Criminal Code, if you recall, was actually passed in the 1960s. If you recall what was happening in the 1960s, that was Kwame Nkrumah's time. That was the same time they passed the Preventive Detective Act, which we've since gotten rid of. So is it about time for us to make some changes to these laws? Even though we repeal criminal libel, it looks like keeping these very particular rules on the book is continuing to still harm us in one way or the other. It's continuing to impose the restrictions that we decided to get rid of under the criminal libel. But we'll take a look at that. I'll pose this to my colleagues and guests as they trickle into the studio. The other thing we want to talk about is, the almost annoying politicization of the death of our former president, Professor John Atta Mills. Each time his name gets brought up, I just think about the family, and my thoughts are, how do they feel? How do this family who have already gone through the pain of burying their loved one feel each time a politician decides to politicize the death of the good old professor? So these are things that I would, put in front of my guest. And to the listeners as well, if you're interested, please call my number, 757-553-2440, and jump in the conversation. In the meantime, Lifetime Legacies in the studio. Let's take a quick break. We will be back, and I'll introduce my guest, and we'll start the conversation. Thanks for watching. Please tell a friend to tell a friend the Ghana Agenda is on, and we are getting ready to start the show. Let your friends join. Please join yourself And we are looking forward to a great conversation today, the February 19th, 2022. We will be right back.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid Health Insurance Program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply: your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
Oh my God, I got my boss, Black Jesus, Royal Black Jesus, watching all the way from Ghana. He's brought a lot of viewers to the show as well, and we are grateful, Black Jesus. Today's show, we are dedicating to one of our guests, Dr. Ato Kwamina Danso, who is celebrating his birthday. We hope that he will take some time to join us so that we can actually give him a proper shout out and celebrate with him. Perhaps we might even sing happy birthday with him. But in the meantime, we got a message already from Black Jesus who says, good job and thanks for joining and giving us those comments. Lifetime Legacy, the link is on our platform, so take it and just share it. Please, if you're watching, share our link. We've distributed it in a few areas. I'm going to be doing that myself. I'm hopping on Facebook immediately to share so that others can also join the conversation. In the meantime, let me welcome Lifetime Legacy to the show. Lifetime Legacy, welcome to the show today. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
All right, good. Thank you so much for joining the show. I have Dr. Edward Ofori, who is also the general manager for ACO Radio, watching the show, and he says, go Alfred Kofi Amuzu. Thank you so much for watching and joining us this warm afternoon here in Washington, D.C. area. I'm not sure what the temperature is in Chicago, but I'm sure that it's a little conducive because I want my friend Ato Kwamina Danso to, enjoy his birthday in good weather and hoping he can join us shortly. So, Lifetime Legacy, welcome to the show. And the things we table for today's discussion, it's very, oh my God. Okay, so, Edward Ofori again came back to say it's freezing over there in Chicago. I so sympathize with you guys. You can see me in short sleeves because, here it's a little warm. We have a gift of a weather today. In fact, I should be grilling, but we'll see what happens after the show. All right, welcome to the show, Lifetime Legacy. Say good morning and good afternoon, whatever you want to say to the listeners, and let me see if the others are also ready to join.
Okay. Good afternoon to our listeners and viewers from all over the world. It's once again a privilege and honor to be on this stage to share our opinions on various issues with you. We promise you a helpful discussion. Thank you.
All right, Lifetime Legacy, thanks for that introduction and the good words for the listeners there and the promise to bring them into some good conversation this afternoon. Now, let's welcome the only burger with 5 cities. You're not going to survive with 5 cities in Ghana like that, but this burger is very brave.
Now a ball of KKB 2 CD.
Oh, okay. So this burger is really brave. He goes together with 5 cities. I don't know how he does it, but welcome to the show, Burger with the 5 city. We are talking here about Mr. Kwame Fuji, Estonian blogger. Welcome to the show, Estonia. Estonia, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay, so while we're waiting for Boga to fix his sound there, I think he's having another sound problem. Let's quickly go over the topics again. We are asking whether or not it is justified to arrest the people who go on radio to share their views and in a way or the other may say something that is falsity or may intentionally try to defame a politician in one way or the other. In the case of Abronya, our understanding is that, or the facts are, he made a comment that the former president, which is President John Dramani Mahama, was planning a coup d'etat, and he has evidence. Now, is this criminal? Should this be a criminal? Should there be a criminal recourse for such a behavior, or should this be something that is taken through our civil procedures or civil? Should it be actually a civil case? Should it be that the state is getting involved in getting him arrested and the manner in which we've seen? So these are the issues that we are tabling for discussion. The second one really is whether or not the over-politicization of the death of the former president, John Atta is necessary. And whether it should be, we should cease and desist from it. Because what we are seeing is that, or the fact of the issue is that an MP, a sitting MP, in this case, the majority whip, in the person of Anodon Prayer, has asked that circumstances leading to the death of the former president be probed. The family says they already have the autopsy. They know exactly what caused the death of the president, and that this should not be an issue. Should we consider the former president a national or or his health record in terms of his autopsy as a national asset that should be made available to perhaps the parliament or to the people, so the people can actually understand what led to his death. Is it necessary? And if it is not necessary, should we respect the privacy of the former president and his family? Because each time I just sit here and I feel that each time this issue comes up, that it doesn't do justice to the family who has to go through the pain of losing their loved one. And then every year they have to repeat saying because a politician is trying to get some political capital out of bringing this issue out. Those are the things that we would be talking about today. And I have my 2 gentlemen who are early birds already joined the show, and I'm super happy about that. Kwame Fuji is facing his microphone. Kwame, are you done with your microphone yet? Say something so I can. I think you're on mute, so if you can.
Oh,
you are
my
on mute.
microphone. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, now I can hear you loud and clear. I was trying to connect to my Bluetooth headset, but
all right, you're trying to get fancy on us. We like it. All right. All right, so thanks for joining the show again, guys. Guys, let's start, giving our initial reaction to some of these things while we wait for our brothers. Hopefully the birthday boy can join us. And of course, I know Paul Disosu is all the way in Ghana. He promised that if he's at home, he would try to join. So we would wait to see him join us and give us some insight on what is happening in Ghana on the ground. So let me start with you, Mr. Estonia blogger, the only blogger with 5 CDs. Mr. Estonia blogger, I don't know if you support any team, but I know one of my bosses who's watching today was Royal Black Jesus. Is a staunch supporter of Manchester City, and I'm watching the game on my left-hand side here. And it looks like it's not going well. So, Black Jesus, my prayers and thoughts are with you and your team. Hopefully, you guys can come up. He's our boss, right? Together on the Maka show. So, yeah, it's been a great week for me. I couldn't wait for this week to end. I mean, there was so much news items coming from Ghana, and I didn't know which one we were going to talk about today. But we settled on 2 that we wanted to discuss. Let me take your thoughts on the first one, preliminary thoughts on the first one. The first one is whether or not it is justified for the arrest we are seeing, that arrest we are seeing of journalists, whether this is actually what sort of criminalizing free speech all over again. We know that the current sitting president, was very instrumental in getting the criminal libel law repealed, which is to say that when you are a journalist and you get your facts wrong, that you are criminally penalized. But it seems that the main law has been repealed, but there are sections of other legislations or statutes that contain rules that could be used to still penalize free speech. What is your assessment of that in terms of some of the people you saw arrested? I'm talking about Bronya here. I'm talking about the guy who was Asepaga, who was also arrested, which is and then all the other journalists that were arrested recently.
Thank you, my brother, and it's also a pleasure to see you guys once again. I couldn't make it last weekend due to an emergency situation. And by the way, I want to commend my brother, Lifetime Legacy. He's looking really, really handsome today in his smoke. Yeah, I know he's ready for battle. The way he's put on his smoke, he's really ready. And then it's always
I think you're seeing half your face. So
yeah, can you see me now?
You can see
okay.
A little bit up again. Bring it up a little bit again.
Okay, let me. That was what I. Okay.
Perfect.
Is it okay?
No,
for
it should go down further.
It should go down further.
Okay. Is it okay?
No, come down.
No.
Go up a little bit. Up a little bit.
Okay.
Up a little bit.
Can you see me now? Is this better?
We can see you now. We can see you now, but let it stay that way. Okay, great. We can see you now. Perfect.
All right.
Cool.
So what I was saying earlier, can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay.
Good.
So what I was saying earlier is my brother Lifetime Legacy is looking really, really nice today in his smoke, and I know he's ready for battle. I wouldn't call it war just yet. I know he's ready for battle. He's ready to battle that with Kakape and Co. And then it's also quite exciting to meet new people and also come back on the show. But first of all, with the question on the arrest of some of these journalists, we should always remember that whenever there is that freedom, there's a certain responsibility and accountability that comes with the freedom, right? I completely understand the fact that there is free speech, but free speech, is it truly free? There should be some limits on what you can and cannot say, because in as much as we all want to excavate the truth, there should be a certain limit as to what we can and cannot say. There are certain tenets of our culture, coupled with education and westernization of our system, that we have to know that there are certain things maybe you can ask or you can say in America or some of those Western countries, but you can't quite say it in Africa. And looking at our history, we have a history of dictatorship and all the militarism and all that, right? So you have to be really careful if you're a journalist, unless you're a journalist of 2 years ago or 5 years ago. If you're a journalist of old and you are really trained in that journalist tradition, you should be also held accountable for the content of the things that you put up. So after having made this point, do these journalists really warrant any sort of arrest? Yes and then no. Are the allegations that they are making, are they correct? Is it factual? Is it based on fact? Or it is just a flamboyant statement that they are making to draw listeners or to create a certain disaffection for the government? But then again, you ask yourself, over the past, the government has been in power maybe 6 years, right? You know, the Akufo-Addo government has been in power for 6 years.
Right.
Then you should ask yourself, over the past 6 years, how many of these cases have happened? There is a certain consistency. My brother, you and I were here when this previous erstwhile Mills Mahama government, what's in the Kwesi Atta, right? The vice president.
Right.
Emisa
Atta. His name is Kwesi, right? Kwesi Emisa Atta.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct. So we were all here. We are all Ghanaians. Let us be. How many journalists made all these libelous allegations against the Mahama Mills government? At a point, there were comments that were made that even Mahama was a gay person. I'm just using it to make a point.
Right.
You and I might have heard or read it somewhere. There were allegations even against Kwesiata that he was gay. You know, they made all these kinds of allegations against him. And all of them was untrue. But here and again, fast forward to 2022,
Right.
what is it about this government that they cannot be criticized? It seems almost impossible that anytime anybody is criticizing them, it's become sort of a fearful tactic. I'll give myself an example. You know, I do videos and I do critiques and I do all kinds of stuff, right?
Right.
I've done certain videos that people literally, the government people, some government people have come to my DM and said that I don't know, I don't have my facts right. Then I've asked them, prove me with facts, because I was talking about an MPP project that was going on in Takrady. And so a young man came and he came to talk, blah, blah, blah. He got my number. He said he's the contractor working on the road. This and I said, present me with the facts. If this guy is going to present me with a fact from yesterday or today, I don't know. I don't have that fact.
Right.
But just because I said something, he perceived me to be some sort of NDC guy. I tell you, no, I don't live in Ghana. But the point remains one and the same that, Masa, there are things that people are doing that doesn't speak well of our so-called democracy, the freedom of speech or free speech or whatever. There are people, this Bobia answer, he made a strong allegation against the
first
lady, right? That was the crux of the case. That's the allegation that he made. Okay, let's all go find out whether whatever allegations that he made against the first lady was correct or not. But then the national security or this police apparatus has become notorious for arresting people or going to grab people and taking them at specific times where they cannot make bail. They did the same thing to their own person, Captain Smart. I was listening to him explain the details of what had actually happened. And it looked almost like a setup. A lot of our so-called people that were criticizing the Eswa Mahama Atamil's government, where are all this clergy?
Right.
Now, all of a sudden, these people are vanished from Ghana. I remember Reverend Martin, the former moderator of the Presbyterian Church. My brother, these are unfair tactics that is being used. It is almost like when MPP is in government, nobody can criticize them. They are above the law. They can do things with impunity, and nobody can say anything. That is not how a country is supposed to be governed.
Right.
If what is good for the goose is good for the gander, then some of these things that is being done should be done in a more just manner. Let me give you an example, my brother. So when Captain Smart apparently was supposed to show up for court, they gave him a specific court that he should go to maybe court 4. This guy gets there, they say, oh, he's not in court 4, but the document that he had been given says court 4. He goes to court 8, they say it's not there. Now his case is being taken care of in court 6. Look at all this stuff. What does it sound like? You and I have read 1984. We all read Animal Farm. We know how dictatorial things start. They start clapping our speech. Most of these people that supposedly were speaking against the previous government, all of a sudden they can't speak anymore. Look at how Ben Epson speaks now. He speaks to me like somebody that has been lingually castrated. He can't speak anymore with money or something. My brother, we live in a country, if we are going to do this so-called democracy, we should be fair to all. This is where I'm going to come in. For this Vama Wabaka, Mause's case, right? He spoke recklessly. Anybody that is old enough that has been under any form of coup would not speak like that.
Right.
He spoke recklessly. But did he really mean that he was going to conduct a coup? Maybe not. This guy doesn't have that capacity to be. But
others are saying because of who he is. He's an astute lawyer who should know better, and he knows better. But people are saying that it could be a political ambition that he's trying to nurse, and by doing so, posting provocative things like this would definitely cause his arrest, which gives him more political capital than all what he's been trying to do to make himself popular and now perhaps succeeding or not succeeding. Because now, all of a sudden, Olivia Vomawa is a household name. which wouldn't have been the case if he wasn't arrested in the Rambo style that we saw, displayed on our television sets. So, to some extent, if there's that mischievous, plan of his, then he has succeeded beyond his imagination.
Alfred,
Yeah.
I completely understand the point. So basically, he's trying to come off from a martyrdom position. So he's become sort of a sacrificial lamb for a cause, right? It is a normal trick. I'm not going to go to that angle just yet. I know he's a lawyer, but you and I and Lifetime Legacy, have we not ever spoken recklessly before? We've all spoken recklessly before. It doesn't matter what we know or what our educational background. He could be a lawyer, could be a master project man. We all speak recklessly sometimes. But the way he's being treated, is it fair? No, I don't think so.
Well, the craftsmen are held at a very high standard, so they're not just like any of us. As a lawyer,
I completely get the point, but I'm also looking at it from this angle that this could be a ploy to cover up this e-levy brouhaha that's ongoing. Okay. All of this could be a big fuss about nothing. That a lot of Ghanaians are very, very displeased with this government. They can come and start their propaganda, their social media. A lot of people are displeased with the government. Even their own people that voted for them. Staunch NPP people. These are staunch members.
Okay.
Staunch members that have NPP plastered in their house. Because the way they are going about this, on the outlook of it, it looks wrong. This Bobia answer has been, remember, when they first started, let me go back a little bit. When with this Radio Gold issue, Radio Gold has been in existence for a long time. All of a sudden, Radio Gold owes these taxes. Oh, the whole time Radio Gold, they didn't know Radio Gold owed taxes? No, I'm asking a question. We are not kids here. Some of these strategies is all.
But we're not compliant, and I mean the rules are the rules, right? The rules should
My
be.
brother, I understand the aspect of. I understand but why did all of a sudden these guys that are supposedly investigating and putting people to be making people comply with the rules, all of a sudden they come and they are able to find it.
Yeah, every government with how they intend to apply and enforce the rules, right? And when they do, we shouldn't fault them. If you want to be in business, be compliant. That's the rule we set.
My brother, I completely understand. But how does it look to us, knowing that Radio Gold usually leans towards the NDC? How does it look? How does it even look? I'm using that to emphasize the point that there's been a historical problem that is going to be a bigger problem later. Where there's going to be vendetta and vindictiveness, somebody else will come and they will do exactly the same thing to you.
Yeah.
They will start closing people's shops, they will start guarding people, and then the so-called beautiful democracy that we have become known for, it will go away.
Right.
We shouldn't let these things become the norm.
Okay.
Today somebody gets invited to them. Those days when they invite you to national security, it was a big deal. These days, it's almost, it doesn't mean anything. Lifetime Legacy can land in Ghana. They can even invite him to national security. It won't mean anything. We know we'll come back tomorrow. We just go and eat fufu and come back. Bulldog was invited to go there. He went to eat fried rice and came back. All of this has become almost like a circus. Okay. If we are really going to enforce the rules, let it be fair. Let it be fair.
Okay.
Let the investigation begin.
Let me bring in Lifetime too, but that's your preliminary comment. But I think you've covered a whole lot of space on the issues we table for discussion. There's a Lifetime Legacy. I was expecting some sort of a balance to the conversation, but being that you're an NDC and my independent guy almost sounded like he's NDC himself. But anyway.
The truth is the truth. It's not about the truth.
The truth is the truth, correct. So, Lifetime Legacy. I mean, we repealed criminal libel, and what I'm going to do is I would read, a section of the criminal code that is being used to file a claim against Abronia and the others who were arrested, so that we can analyze the law to see if, in fact, something should be done about it. But before we do that, do you accept, the ways in which we are seeing these arrests undertaken by the police? Do you accept the involvement of the police in matters, some of which perhaps should have been civilly adjudicated instead of being taken through the criminal process?
Thank you, Alfred. Once again, I would like to thank our audience who are watching us and listening to us
Right.
this afternoon. And also, if my brother Ifa and Daniel are listening to us, we are waiting on them that they will come and join us so that we can have a balanced and successful program. The lateness to the program is becoming too much of him. So if he's listening,
he really has some business once a month, which drops on today. So he informed me earlier that he will come, but he'll be a little late.
Oh, okay.
So
I know he's watching and listening, and he'll come back with a rebuttal. Anyway, let me go to your question. Alfred, there is a saying that goes that a throat cutter fears to lie down. I don't know if you've heard this before.
Sounds like some Latin in there.
Yeah, any person who cuts others' throat to death always will fear to lie down because he will be afraid that if he, by chance, he also lie down, somebody who is also an expert in throat cutting will come and then take care of his throat. So instead of going to bed, they'll prefer to be awake so that nobody comes after their throat. That is exactly what Nanado and his government are exhibiting now. Okay. Why am I saying this? Nanado in opposition, and including his followers, make a whole lot of allegations, claims that if they are subjected to proof, they won't be able to prove any. Those are the things they were doing while they were in a position. And they thought when they give people or they allow people the kind of freedom they had during Mahama and Mills' time, if the people also get that opportunity, they might probably pay them in the same manner. So the only way to exonerate themselves from the wrong they have done in the past is to go after people who decided to make a comment in a similar manner, not the same.
What wrongs are you referring to here? The wrongs they've done in the past? If you can be specific in...
Alfred, Nanado is on record to have accused the former First Lady of being the person sharing contracts, awarding contracts, government contracts, which we all know that First Ladies does not award contracts. He makes this business.
And you heard this on tape where he was, you're quoting a tape that he released on an interview he gave, because we want to be careful what we say on here as well. We just don't want to throw things out there that perhaps would warrant our own indications.
This is a public record.
So just cite those things when you come, if you really can remember, in a video somewhere in 2016, and now those
comments happened in 2016 during the electioneering year. Those are the time he makes those comments. So Nanado is on record to have accused Mahama for inflating projects, cost of projects, to the point that the recent MP of his party who was asked Sikano Wahi, and he said they should go and ask the person who made that comment. At one point in time, came to the defense of Mahama that no, Mahama did not inflate any project. You see, so I can give you a lot of several other instances.
So what I'm really saying is that during the political season, our politicians throw these acquisitions around, and nothing really happens to them. But when they get into power and a citizen or a journalist goes to criticize them, then all of a sudden the police are rushing in, because you can blame both sides of the political aisle to have thrown outlandish allegations against each other during the campaign seasons, and we all eat them. Nobody gets invited.
Alfred, I can say it without fear or favor. Okay, that any comment that NDC members made during the national year, I am not in any way going to say that all that are put out there are 100% right. Okay, but you can have a situation where if they put out 10 informations out there, you are likely to have 9 that are correct. You are likely to have 9 that are correct. Okay, unlike these people who right from independence started lying. The only way they can succeed to power is to malign their opponent. They started this not today. We recall during the days of Nkrumah where they say Nkrumah have some voodoo, called kankanyami, a whole lot of things were said about Nkrumah. You get it? So they are, when it comes to being diabolic to get to power, they are very, very good in that. You get it? So whatever they are, whatever they do to others, when they are in power, they always fear that the same thing will be done to them. So what they normally do is that they will set out institutions, state institutions in place to be on check, so that when it happens that people want to go after them, then they will be behind and pushing those institutions to act on their favor.
Right.
You get it? This thing happened to Rawlings. I mean, just to mention a few, it happened during the Nkrumah era. They call Nkrumah all sort of name, to the sense that their fathers even went to came to US here to tell what do you call it, the Kaiser company who wanted to build a Kosovo down to us, and those things, that they should not finance the project. A whole lot of things.
Right.
Some even went to the Queen that they should not give us what they call it, the independence that we're. I mean, we know the character of these people, and they have not changed. Rawlings in 2016 in the Cape Coast, during the launch of our campaign, I was there.
Yeah,
I was
Cape Coast Stadium.
Yes, I was there about 7 seats behind where he was sitting. Make a comment that the character of MPP, as we know them, have not changed. Okay, it is the name of the political party that have metaphors from one name to another. But the character of the personalities involved, or as far as their tradition is concerned, they are very diabolic, malicious. I mean, evil, all manner of diabolic things that they can use to climb power is what they are noted for. Right from independence, like I've said. So many things were said about Rawlings. He owns a bank account in Switzerland. He owns a jewelry shop in Switzerland. I mean, you and I attest to some of these claims they made, or false claims they made against Rawlings when he was in power. You get it? When Atamels, Rawlings' term was over, Atamels became the candidate. A whole lot of things were said about Atamels. You get it?
Right.
Mahama, we were told he owned a lot of hotels and jewelry shops
in Dubai, and all that.
In Dubai and that kind of thing. So their tradition, the only way they can ascend to power is to be malicious and diabolic. And that is what they are very good in doing that. Including people that you expect them to know better, like a Akufo-Addo. You get it? So that is how they ascend to power. So when they come into office, they are always on the wall watching that who is going to pay them back with that same this. When you listen to their journalists and their radio stations like Oman FM in the evening, if you are a true Ghanaian who is not aligned to any political party, you even become angry.
Right.
The kind of things they channel on that particular platform.
Okay, let me do this. I want to read to you some of the laws under which these people are being charged. I actually combed for cases, because usually when you take a case, the case usually interprets the law. So the cases become a lot more relevant than just the statute itself. But for now, we're just going to rely on the statute and try to analyze to see, first of all, whether or not this statute should actually even, continue to exist or be repealed. So the one I'm taking first, which I'm sharing with you now, you can see on the screen, is the Criminal Code of 1960, which was a law passed by Kwame Nkrumah. And it's, this, as old as it is, it's still on our books and we're using it. What it says under section 208 is that, which is titled The Publication of False News with Intent to Cause Fear and Alarm to Public. This is what people like Abronya and, the other journalists have been charged under. It says, 1, any person who publishes or reproduces any statements, rumor, or reports which is likely to cause fear and alarm to the public or to disturb the public peace, knowing or having reason to believe that the statement, rumor, or report is false, is guilty of a misdemeanor. So here they are specific. They said that person is guilty of a misdemeanor. I'm going to take 2 quickly, and then we can come back and talk about, both 1 and 2. 2 says, it is no defense to a charge under section 1 that the person charged did not know or did not have reason to believe that the statement, rumor, or report was false, unless he proves that prior to publication, he took reasonable measures to verify the accuracy of the statement, rumor, or report. So clearly, the law applies to anybody, journalists, not journalists, politicians, not politicians, any Ghanaian citizen, perhaps even if you're not a Ghanaian citizen, but you're making a comment about another Ghanaian. And that statement, according to this law, if that statement or rumor or report is likely to cause fear and alarm to the public, or to disturb the public peace, knowing or having reason to believe that the statement or rumor report is false, you are guilty. So you have to know, even if, now they are even saying in 2 that even if you don't know, you have to prove that you've taken steps to verify that the statement is true before you make them. So the burden is crazy because we make mistakes. In other words, you can even make a mistake on air, or reproduce even means that somebody says something that is false that you are repeating. That, subjects you to a misdemeanor charge. Do you think with this we can even open our mouth and talk at all? Because sometimes you say things that are published by perhaps Joy Online or Daily Graphic that perhaps may not be true. They've made a mistake and you are just reproducing that. You are guilty of a misdemeanor. This is very stringent from my read of it. What do you think about what I've just read to you, Mr. Kwame?
So it's often the case that, like I said earlier, people tend to speak recklessly, and in the atmosphere of freedom of speech, there is a certain responsibility that must go with it, right? So government, in all its power, should ensure that I cannot get up one day and come and make a bold allegation against you or lifetime legacy and go scot-free.
Right.
And it is always easy to criticize government or criticize people in leadership. But then here and again, a lot of us, we don't have that personal fortitude to be able to do half of the things that the people in leadership are doing. That is the main reason why some of these things are in place. But then looking at our history of people that are having like tribalistic tendencies, people that have personal vendettas or personal issues with people, then there's a certain subjectivity with this law, right? So basically, if I don't like you, and you say something that slightly mirrors or it's even close to this, and all of a sudden, I can use that to push a certain personal
like you open your mouth. Anytime you open your mouth, right? All I need to prove as a government agency trying to prosecute you under this law, all I need to prove is that you publish something, or a publication right now extends to even being on Facebook or whatever media, and making comment. That constitutes publication. So anytime you open your mouth, whether it's on your social media accounts or a tweet or whatever you do, whether it's not even originally your thoughts and you are just reposting, you know how we retweet stuff. So for instance, whatever Olivia Vomawa posted, if I retweeted that, that is a reproduction of his statement. And we are saying that this kind of makes it so that once you open your mouth and say something that perhaps you may later on find to not be true, you are guilty of a misdemeanor. They are putting a burden on you to investigate every little thing that comes out of your mouth to ensure that it is not false before you say them, before you can escape from this law. So this law is so tight. It can be used for anything. It's too general from what I stand. It looks like, you know, it's subject to abuse, and we are seeing those abuses right now. Is it time for this law to be changed? And so I'm asking,
Alfred, when you look at this law particular, you could and you look at the behavior and the character, like I have mentioned in my earlier summation of the forebearers of the MPP. I am attempted to believe that this law was enacted because of the situations at that time.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the times, right?
When you
this
look
was
at it critically,
1960, you know, in the 1960s, of course, Kwame Nkrumah was consolidating power and therefore pretty much gagging anybody who criticizes government. And government over governments, nobody found. And I think once you come into government, you see something like this, you love it because, you know, you can use it to gag your
I am not too sure that the intention of Kwame Nkrumah was to gag people from criticizing him. Okay. It was the malicious criticism and the diabolic nature of the criticism. And the question is, do we still need these laws in our system? These have a two-edged sword. I'll say yes, and I'll say no.
Okay, now, tell us why you say yes.
The reason why we need some of these laws in the system, we still need some of this law in the system. The likes of the forebearers of the MPP behavior or the character they were exhibiting before some of these laws were enacted have not changed. If everybody if Mahama and Atameus weren't tolerant and they want to implement some of this law against their opponent, Nado by now would have been an ex-convict. You get it? So right. The law, in as much as we have it in our books, does not mean it's a wrong thing. For me, it is good so that it balances our way of doing things as a society to shape our way of criticizing or our way of going after people when we have the opportunity. So for me, we having it in our law books, for me, I don't see nothing wrong with it. But then, what I think rather should be the issue is we having leaders who are tolerant enough to be able to accommodate like the way Mahama and Atameus did. At one point in time, there was this guy who insulted Atameus. I think the guy is the PRO for the energy ministry. He insulted Atameus, called him all manner of name. When the police were overzealous at that time, got the guy arrested, Atameus ordered the guys to release. You get it? So, so the police probably acted on this particular law, but the Atameus being tolerant and want people to be able to express themselves freely, intervene and allow that guy to go scot-free. When it got to Mahama time, I mean, he was one of the people who have been mostly insulted, but he never acted. So the fact that we have the law in our books itself does not constitute a crime or does not serve as primitive, measure for people. You get it? So what I think is the issue is that we should have leaders to be tolerant. Like I said earlier on, if we want to take the previous administration decided to implement this law, Ronaldo probably by now, like I said, would have been one of the ex-convicts as a means of criminal libel.
Let's get Kwame to also, talk about, what his take on the law is, and then we can transition to the next thing. So, Kwame,
I didn't actually finish my thoughts earlier, but
I know, I know.
Yeah, I'll go ahead.
Took it away from me.
You mentioned to the generality of this law, right? This law is so general that it can be shape-shifted or shape-shifted to anything, right? But then again, I don't think the law should be entirely stripped from our law books. But maybe it could be improved on to make it specific, because if this law is from 1960, there was only the popular forms of media were probably radio and the newspaper, right? Radio was there, but it wasn't very common like it is today. So maybe there are certain specificities that have to be put into this law to make it a modern law. But doing away with it completely, I don't think so, because
we do see people these days. Of course, now with the advent of social media, everybody is a journalist, right? Including what we are doing here. We are citizen journalists, to be honest, even though we haven't gone through a formal journalistic training. But we need some kind of guidelines that tells us what you can say and what you cannot say. Otherwise, we can come here and start playing pornography. We can come here and start insulting and start passing on propaganda, because we have followers, we have people watching, we have people listening to us week after week, and they believe what we say. So in order for us not to be just out there throwing all kinds of allegations out there, defaming the character of people, because the politicians usually what they feed on is their integrity. In order for us not to keep destroying their credibilities and going scot-free, perhaps laws like this are important. But what you see is that it is telling you that, if you look at especially Section 2, where it says it is no defense to this charge under Section 1 that the person charged did not know or did not have reason to believe that the statement or rumor reports that person perhaps may be reproducing is false, unless the person proves that prior to publication that he took reasonable measures to verify the accuracy of the statement. This is pointing to journalists. It takes journalists to actually go and perhaps with the resources to do the investigations and get to the bottom of things before they even reproduce or talk about them. But when citizens and everybody else is talking, things that we could have been saying in our houses those days to our friends, it wouldn't become a publicized things. Now we have a technology that makes it publicized. So you are giving us a burden that we cannot actually sustain. We can't go, for instance, when Lifetime Legacy is making an allegation here of something Akufo-Addo did, it is hard for me to actually go and verify that, but I can be an accomplice in publishing of false statements that could be construed as causing fear and panic, and this is the problem.
So if you, to my earlier point, remember I had mentioned that even if there is freedom of speech, there is a certain accountability and responsibility that must go with it, right?
Okay.
That is why I'm saying this law is from 1960. In 1960, the journalistic atmosphere at that time is quite different from what it is now. You can sit in your home, get a camera, make an opinion, and the next 5 minutes, about 20,000 people will hear it, right? So what I'm asking is, this law shouldn't be completely done with. It has to be improved. There has to be certain parts of it that has to be moved to the 21st century. Right, so that it will cater for all this, because there is a lot of preposterous. Okay, bring it to the US. There is something called deep fake, where literally people will copy videos of you and add a voice, snippets of different parts of your voice to create a real thing that might even sound like you. And there is no way of absolutely knowing that this is not coming from Alfred, right? So there are people that are putting a lot of this stuff out there, and nobody knows. So for our government, my fear is that we have a tendency of being tribalistic and nepotistic and using it to a certain degree to guard people that we do not like. That is the part that I'm also afraid of. But in order for this law to be correct, it has to be a fair and a just law that has inculcated the 21st century rules, including social media, including different forms of electronic publication. Not only there are other websites that you and I don't even know of.
Right.
There are so many websites and so many places that a lot of our young people know that they go there to publish all these kinds of stuff. So this law is good to a point, but it has to be improved on so that it will meet the 21st century needs of the Ghanaian.
Okay, let me bring also in a newer one, which is the Electronic Communications Act, which was recently passed. That one was in 2008. We're talking about Act 775. In section 76 of that act, it talks about false communications. And this time around, it's trying to specifically target the kind of communications we do, which is through an electronic communication media, right? Like the Facebooks and the YouTubes. It's saying that under one, it says, a person who by means of electronic communication service knowingly sends a communication which is false or misleading and likely to prejudice the efficiency of life. I don't know if I'm sharing. Are you guys seeing what I'm reading now? No, I'm not sharing it. Okay. Let me pull it up so we can all read it. So there you go. It says false communications, which is under Act 775 of the Electronic Communications Act of 2008. And it reads in one, it says, a person who by means of electronic communication service knowingly sends a communication which is false or misleading and likely to prejudice the efficiency of life savings service or to endanger the safety of any person, ship, aircraft, vessel, or vehicle, commit an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of not more than 3,000 penalty units or to a term of imprisonment of not more than 5 years or both. Okay, so this is now serious. It's no longer a misdemeanor because they're taking the prison term to 5 years. And two, it says, two is kind of trying to define what it means to say you are, the information you are passing on is false. It says, two says, a person is taken to know that the communication is false or misleading if that person did not take reasonable steps to find out whether the communication was false, misleading, reckless, or fraudulent. So it is that even what you are saying, Estonia, is that we should bring this 21st century, but we did bring it to 21st century. This current 2008 version is telling us essentially the same thing, but this time around, it's actually even applying it to electronic communication, and they crank up the punishment you receive. It's no longer a misdemeanor, which might see you in jail for 30 days. This time around, it's almost rising into the status of a felony because it's making it where you will go to jail for 5 years. What are we doing to our country, sir? Why do we have all this? We say we repeal criminal libel just to have this type of provisions on our books that can be used to achieve the same purpose of that a criminal libel was, there to do.
I mean, sometimes a lot of things are only done in just name, right? Repeal the criminal libel law. In name, it is gone, but in actual practice, it is still there. Because what it is like you can't just speak anyhow and go scot. And my problem with this law is look at how popular was social media in 2008. The social media space has quickly grown over the last 14 years. This law was enacted in 14 years ago. And look, every year now there is TikTok, which is completely different. Now there is Snapchat. There are so many of these things that you cannot even keep up. In as much as our laws are,
it's not the medium, right? Because it captured the medium. It says electronic communication. So regardless of which platform, it doesn't really matter.
I mean, I understand the electronic communication, but you have a lawyer that is arguing this case out and tells you electronic communication, that medium could mean that it could just be, it would be looked at as some sort of like not exactly like the TV, but it's not quite publication. It could just be entertainment.
Well, publication just means that a third party is able to read it, right? Because when you publish, all you are saying is that if, for instance, if you're making a community, if it was an email that you are sending to an intended recipient, all right, and that intended recipient is the person you are saying the falsity about, and that recipient, takes you to court, then you can say you did not publish it because you are only sending it to the intended recipient. You did not intend the intended recipient, who is the person you are saying the falsity about, but you did not intend to actually, have a third party read it. Because for publication, all you need is for a third party to read it or to hear about it, the falsity that you are saying. So in this particular case, if you say something on social media, it becomes a publication automatically because social media makes it available. The platform is such that anybody with an account, on that social media or within your friends network, even if you restrict it to just your friends, is likely to read it. And that person may not be the person you are passing the falsity about. For instance, you say Mahama is planning a coup. If you send that specifically to Mahama, it's not a publication. But if anybody else were to set eye on that information, then it becomes a publication. And that is where the libel comes in, or the defamation should come in.
I completely get your point, but what I'm also saying is some of these things, it could be misconstrued. They could argue it out all day that it's just entertainment. It's just a bluff. It didn't mean anything. It was not injurious to the person. That is how you have to be careful with some of these plainly stated laws. We have to be really careful. Anyway, back to the reason why some of these laws are important is to make people think before they speak. Even in our traditional homes, we are told that we have to think before we speak.
Right.
There are a lot of, let me give you a example. Somebody like Abronya specifically, we are going to get to him, but I wanted to jump. He's somebody that speaks recklessly all the time.
Right.
He just says whatever comes to his mind. And a law like that is good for somebody like that. So it will check him to think before they say something out. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Go ahead.
Because I can't just come up and make up a lie and then, like on this platform, make a bold allegation or accusation against you that I know has no basis, no fact, nothing, and go scot free. There are other people that might not believe that it is true, and there are other people that will certainly believe that it is true. You understand me? Anyway, I'll hand over the microphone to Lifetime Legacy to.
Okay, Lifetime Legacy, help me out with this one. So basically, yeah, there are laws like this to prevent people from just going on radio and going on whatever platforms they find themselves. On there's this law and other laws like the ones we read are there to protect them or to protect innocent people from being defamed, from being alleged to be committing crimes that they are not committing, or for passing falsities about them. Here's the issue. There is a common law for defamation that protects the credibility of people. For instance, if you are saying Mahama is doing something that Mahama is not doing, Mahama should take you to courts under civil law and get judgments against you. Should it be that we have our police fighting things that should be fought as civil matters in our courts?
Alfred, I wish I never mentioned the character in question's name, but I have no option than, since I'm going to talk about him, I have no option than to mention his name.
Okay.
Abronye have been consistent raining insults on Mahama for some time now.
Okay.
I can even say without
Mahama taking him to court.
No.
Why not? That's the remedy available to the president, the former president.
Yeah, that is what I mentioned earlier on in my submission, that some of these laws exist where people could be punished with it. But you need as a leader, you must be somebody who is very accommodative. That is why that guy could still insult Mahama to fame, or have insulted Mahama to the extent that he had been rewarded with the chairmanship position, and he's still doing it. You get it?
Right.
So Mahama not taking him to court does not mean he's a weak person. He's
Okay.
just been.
Let me ask you. Abronya says Mahama is planning a coup and he has evidence. Do you believe Abronya that what he's just saying is true?
I've heard that guy. If you are to count 10 Ghanaians, okay, I will not sit here and say that there is no idiot in anybody's family house. By all means, in every family home, you find an idiot.
But let's not use that on this platform, please.
No, I'm just trying to make a statement. What I want to say is,
I'm an idiot, and I don't want you to do so. Just go ahead and address the.
So what I want to say is that,
do you believe what he said about Mahama?
Definitely, I won't believe him.
Okay.
10 people out of 10 people, you are likely to have one person or two believing what he said. That is the essence of the phrase that I was making earlier.
To the extent that those people would have a fear in them because they believe Mahama is causing a coup and panic? Do you think so?
I've heard. Whilst I was in Ghana, there is this lady who is a strong MPP member, and Abronye and the owner of a radio station, Canada Japan, will sit on Canada Japan's radio station, say all manner of things against Muhammad that are not true. Okay, the following day, this person will come and meet me with an argument strongly defending what Abronye have said. You get it? So that is the essence of the earlier statement that I made, which you were not trying to what do you call it? I said, but I know where you were also coming from. You got it. So you are likely to have people who believe everything that come from him as a gospel. You get it? And those are the people who are lines to them. That is how they sustain their base.
Right.
You get it?
Okay.
And I think it got to a time, Mahama, when he said that Mahama wanted to kill somebody or know the death of somebody, Mahama, through his lawyers, reported the case to the police. Nothing came out of it. But now,
the question is, why is Mahama, if somebody says something untruthful about Mahama's conduct, why is Mahama reporting this to the police when he knows that the remedy available to him is to take the person to court for defamation?
Okay, with that particular statement, it's criminal.
What is criminal about?
Criminal when anything that got something, anything that got to do with somebody's life is criminal. You get it? So the
what is criminal? The person who's doing the killing or the person who's reporting that the killing has been done?
The person who is making the allegations that the alleged act itself is a criminal.
So we are saying that if for instance, I come to say that you kill somebody, and I cannot be believed because I tell lies, I don't have any credibility to be believed, right? So in other words, people know me to be telling falsehoods. Okay. You are saying that it is criminal for me to say the falsehood, even though everybody knows it's false. That I'm lying. All right. Because for you to actually, invoke the criminality of this, first of all, it has to be true that somebody was being murdered, right? And the focus should be on the person who's doing the murdering. But if nobody's being murdered and I'm known to be somebody who tells falsehoods, then, I shouldn't be taken serious. My intent is not even, because everybody should know that I'm a joker. And if I joke, if I go and say one of my jokes, nobody panics, nobody fears anything because I'm telling a joke. They put it in the context in which I'm saying it. In other words, what Abronia is saying is ridiculous. Everybody knows this guy is a political propagandist and what he's saying is not true. So why not take him to the appropriate quarters where if somebody, because all it turns into is that Mahama's credibility is being questioned by this guy. This guy is defaming Mahama, and what Mahama should do is take him to a civil court and prosecute him for the defamation, not a criminal court. That's what I'm saying.
Alfred, I disagree with you in a sense that Abronye have been rewarded for what he have done all over the years.
That's not the question, right? The question is,
Alfred, if it is not a reward, let me ask you a question. Or even though you are a host, will you consider such a character to be your leader? The answer is no.
I mean, whatever criteria they use to consider him to be their leader has nothing to do with him defaming Mahama. So let's concentrate on the question.
So what I want to say is that the statement he made that have something to do with a life of a person, for instance, which happens to be our next topic. One of our next topic will be coming to very soon. The what do you call it? That cannot be a civil matter. That is a criminal matter. So it need to be dealt with in a criminal manner. Do you get it? And the institutions that are empowered to deal with criminal issues are the police. You get it? So Mama couldn't have deal with a criminal issue at the The only way that issue can be dealt with is reporting to the institutions that are empowered to deal with criminal matters.
I mean, what is criminal about it? He's saying Mahama is planning a coup. If Mahama is not planning a coup, then
Mahama... I am making references to the first one where he alleged that Mahama killed somebody. You get it?
Mahama hasn't killed anybody, and what he points to is that the act that he has committed is saying forced or misrepresenting Mahama. That's his crime there. That's his act. The act is committed. And we are saying that act against an individual citizen, if you misrepresent an individual citizen, that is a civil issue. It's not a criminal issue. No. It's not a criminal issue to misrepresent or say
the act that the person is alleged to have done is a criminal issue.
Which part? Oh, the act that Mahama is alleged to have done?
It's a criminal issue.
But that's why we say if it's a criminal issue, then the police should be chasing Mahama.
So no. So
Mahama hasn't committed that.
He who alleged have the burden of proof.
Okay, but hear me out. Hear me out. The police is now investigating a murder. Are they?
Which one are you referring to? Are you referring to the current situation or
even the current situation? They are now investigating a coup being plotted by Mahama. Are they?
No.
What are they investigating?
They are investigating a criminal issue.
A falsity being told.
Yeah, which is a criminal issue.
It's not a criminal issue. Shouldn't be a criminal issue because it's being done against an individual citizen of the state, which is Mahama. So Mahama should have taken him to a civil, court instead of the criminal one. Because what we are doing is we are stretching the boundaries of this law, which says that if you say a falsehood and it causes fear and panic, and we know Abronia to be a propagandist, none of what he says really, nobody cares about what he says is going to cause. If he alleges Mahama is causing a coup, I'm not sure anybody in Ghana is taking that seriously and following with that and packing their bags and running away out of the country because they are so panicked and under fear. No, that's
why I'm saying that.
So reality,
I'm saying that for this guy to become a position that he has gotten, to tell this, it's a manifestation that he have people who believe everything that comes out of his mouth. You get it? So you cannot just treat it that because there is no evidence or there is no proof to that effect, what he's saying does not make an impact. You get it? There are a category of audience who are also interested to hear what he's telling them.
So if you're making it criminal, then the state has to prove. The state has the burden of proof, right? 99% is on the state. And the state has to prove that somebody relied on that, or there's the likelihood of reliance on that to cause, fear and panic. No, so it's not
he made a statement, and look at the scenario. Look at the scenario.
But I don't know if you understand this. Whoever
I
takes
understand your situation.
the prosecutor in a criminal case has 99% burden of proof. All you need is that 1% against them that you show that doubt, that little doubt that you did not cause fear and panic and you are free. So would the state be able to prove that people actually rely on what Abronya says and therefore are panic and fear?
You see, it will take somebody who is a serious person to be able to say that what this guy is saying shouldn't be taken serious. Okay, why am I saying this? There is a real situation at hand where Oliver is in a cell right now. Okay.
Yeah, Oliver is a different matter, right?
No, the particular statement he made, he said that he equates the comments Oliver made to the effect that he even went a step further to say that Oliver is an employee or ex-employee of Mahama. He even went to that extent. Do you get it? And it was attributing Oliver's comment that Oliver is not the only person who is planning to do a coup. You get it? That is where he brought in Mahama. You get it? So you cannot just take it lightly because there is an issue which is the reality the state is looking at. Vis-a-vis, he is capitalizing on that issue to make a statement against Mahama. So you cannot just look at it in isolation. The police have to come in that the person who is alleging, have the burden of proof. You get it? So you cannot say this cannot be treated as a civil case. This is a criminal case.
All right, your opinion on that. Let me take quickly. Kwame, do you have any other comments to pass on this issue before we go to the next one?
Okay, so what I have to say on this issue is Abronya, even though he's known to speak recklessly, I believe former President Mahama should have sued him or tried to prove or disprove his allegation. But then again, I think of this, there is a proverb that says, if a madman takes away your towel and you decide to follow the madman, you and the madman, who's really the madman, right? So then I'm also looking at it as an elder that, hey, maybe Mahama doesn't want to pay attention to this guy because he has bigger fishes to fry. He's not going to be worried about this guy because if he says he's going to worry about every single allegation, like the same way they made against his brother, the same allegations have been made against former President Kufuor, the same allegations have been made against Alan Chamantin and co, even former Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Dufour. You know, people make all kinds of allegations, like the same example that they are giving concerning Vomo, right? Where you think there might be some sort of political aspiration underneath all of this bubble, right? Maybe, just maybe, Abronya is always saying these things to stay relevant in this almost sensationalized media space. You have to always say something outrageous. You know, like, for example, this guy, Lutrot. He says all manner of things, and hey, we all jump in because we live in a world where nobody really takes time to excavate or dig for the truth. So I believe, in as much as he speaks recklessly, care should be taken not to make that norm. So then again, you have someone like Chini Jonas that is constantly saying some of this things. How then do you go and criticize him? Once you have somebody like that who is doing the exact same thing with built with falsehood, you can't just come up and make up allegations. I am one person that I try to speak as independent as possible because you cannot get up one day and decide that, oh, today I feel so bad that I'm going to make up lies about lifetime legacy or Aferamuzu and then go scot-free. No. You can't just prove it's not something that should be taken lightly. And considering the current security implications around us, you can just get up and make allegation against a former president that he has plans of conducting a coup and he is sort of in cahoots with this guy. Maybe they haven't even met before. I read on certain platforms that the guy has Bomo, so he's some Ewe guy, and they try to link him with the Western Togoland. Remember, last year or 2 years ago, there was this issue about the Western Togoland separatist group. They were trying to link him with them. You know, and it's just remember, we live in this place where everybody has an opinion. Everybody has some idea that he or she wishes to express to the world to create a certain following, a certain cult following, to let them feel good. That, you know, I also have something to say that I have to say. I'll use myself as an example. There are some jokes that whenever I write and I want to share it, I'm like, oh, should I really say? It's really funny. If I told you, you probably laugh your head off. But then again, I have feminists and all these people who follow me. And I can't hold the joke because then what? On Twitter, they come and tackle me that I'm being insensitive to the needs of women. Anyway, I wouldn't prolong this so we can go on to the rest of the show.
Okay, great. So thanks for those comments on the first segment of the discussion. I was trying to even see if we can pass one or two comments on the comments made by Honorable Sosu, who's a member of parliament. And I think he said something about if judges were going to be political judges, that their time will pass, new government will come, they will be removed, etc., etc. And the Ghana Bar Association took that to task, saying that it's a comment unbecoming of a lawyer and a member of parliament for that matter. And so we are saying what Sosu said, again, we are getting so many sort of social media policing or social commentary policing these days, more than even the street level policing, where the crimes are actually occurring. It appears that there's a considered attempt to actually guard people from actually making comments. Because if you look at it, in the United States where we live, we know judges who are conservatives, even on the Supreme Court. So we can point to them. Even, the last two that, of course, Trump nominated, we know they are conservatives. They are conservative judges. There's a certain way they have a certain outlook when looking at cases or reviewing evidence or facts. They are liberal judges in the Supreme Court, and they are known for that. They are tagged as that. So it is so hard that in our country, our judges do not want to be referred to as political judges or judges that lean towards a particular party, even though we know for sure judges in Ghana, some of them have a specific political outlook, and that influences how they look at things. You could just look at the electoral petitions or election petitions from 2012 and the one in 2020, and you could see where some of those leanings actually manifested. Now, no offense to any judges, don't pick me up when I come to Ghana, but the question is, should we not be free to actually identify our judges as leaning to a specific political ideology or not? Is this a crime? Should anybody be called into some type of rebuke or some sort of punishment just because they are identifying what's perhaps true? Let's start from Left Up Legacy on this. Let's do that for 1 minute so we can switch over.
Alfred, you see, sometimes poverty can let people do things in a way that at the normal sense, they are when they are in their right senses, they will not do. You see, the judges you are making references to right here, in as much as they were appointed by or they belong to a particular political party,
right?
When it comes to issues of national interest that have nothing to do with politics, they become fair.
I mean, mostly in the United States here, they are evenly divided. Like you can see.
But that is what I'm saying. Now, when it comes to issues that have nothing in political in nature, they are fair.
Yeah, but so it is in Ghana too, right?
Oh, come on. That is not our situation in Ghana.
If it is not political, they are fair, right? You can't say.
You see,
what cases have you seen judges in Ghana not being fair, even though it's not political?
Right. If one person could insult a judge and and call the judge a name that I cannot repeat here. Okay, and say all manner of things against that judge. The Chief Justice of Ghana will see nothing wrong with that judge, with that person, but rather the judge who attempts to get explanation of why the guy is calling them with such a name would rather be transferred, whilst the person who is insulting the judges,
you are telling us that the transfer is because he's asking questions, and I don't want to associate with that. I don't think I know why he was transferred, or we don't have a way to know why he was transferred. So let's not speak to things that we have no, fact on.
I mean, you can disassociate yourself from it, but I still stand by that point that in as much as that particular member of parliament have made worse claims, damning claims against the judges, and they see nothing wrong with it. Compare the statement Sosu made vis-a-vis what Canada Japan made. Compare the two. Which one is more damning?
Right. So again, Sosu is not like a judge who's actually dragging Sosu to the GBA or anything. It's the GBA, whatever, themselves who are saying Sosu. It's
afraid.
It's not like you are saying that there is a Supreme Court judge who perhaps did not sort of chastise Canada Japan for saying whatever he said about a judge. But I'm saying that in the case of Sosu too, no judge is reacting per se. It is GBA is somebody.
We know, is it if you tell me that you don't know how political the political terrain or architecture, the way things goes in Ghana, if you tell me you don't know, I will agree with you. I can understand. Okay, we know how the systems work. You get it. I don't expect the Chief Justice to descend from his office to come and hold Sosu to prove the comments he's making. So the Chief Justice will get that done to someone. You get it. The Chief Justice will get that done to someone.
No, I'm not going to associate with that.
Okay, that is why I'm saying that you don't associate yourself with it. Allegation. I know what I'm talking about.
People, you see, these are the type of things that put social media commentators in trouble. You have no clue whether the recommendation or the dragging of Sosu to the GBA is being triggered by the Chief Justice. So you cannot say the Chief Justice probably is the one behind that. So these are the things
where were the GBA when the Canada Japan was insulting the judges?
Again, I don't think so. The GBA is treating Sosu.
Where was the GBA?
Hear me out. The GBA is the Ghana Bar Association, which Sosu belongs to.
Which the Chief Justice was once a member.
Say that again?
The Chief Justice was once a member.
He's still a member. He's the chair of the disciplinary committee. But hear me out.
He's the chairman of it.
Hear me out. Canada Japan is not a member of the Bar Association. So why would the Bar Association come after Canada Japan? They are dealing with their member.
Because he have make a claim or scandalize the court. What did this Sosu said? Sosu says that if the word is
the court, they invite him to the court. They invite him to face the judges. They don't invite him. The GBA doesn't invite him.
Sosu says if he never mentioned any judge's name, and he doesn't have problem with any judge where somebody can attribute his comment that he made to a particular judge. You get it. But here is the situation. We have a Canadian Japan who have a problem with a particular judge, and his comments is attributes to a particular judge.
Okay, so it's up to that.
You get it. So if the Chief Justice can ignore that one, the Chief Justice, who is the chairperson of GBA, can ignore that one and go after the weaker one who says
the disciplinary committee of GBA, not the chair of GBA. But go ahead. I mean, the thing you are saying is that
Alfred,
you want the Chief Justice to respond, and the Chief Justice hasn't responded in the case of Sosu. So why are we saying he should respond in the case of Kennedy Japan? But I would rather, and I'm gonna give the opportunity to Kwame to actually also air his view on this. But I think there's a different angle from which we can actually defend Sosu, which I'm not hearing from you, Kwame. I'll come back to you. So think about it. When we come back to you, you can tell us. Kwame.
maybe you don't like the political twist to it.
Well, we do the political twist all day, but careful how you associate things to.
Susu was in a political movement when he made that statement.
Okay, he's in a political mood, but Sosu said
when he made that statement,
the way he even said it, I think, kind of sort of exonerating in a way or the other.
He never mentioned anybody. The word is if.
Okay, so
we haven't attributed the if to anybody.
Okay, well, so
he's just making a general statement.
I don't know if you heard what Sosu has to say, but do you think necessarily that he's saying something? I think it's uncomfortable truth that he's telling, but the real point really is, I mean, what does the matter if judges are tagged as having some political outlook, which we don't expect that to influence their decision. However, they do have those outlooks. So when I'm going to court, we are all human beings. I know this is a conservative judge, and I know how he's going to rule. It forms part of my strategy in whatever case I'm taking to the court, because I know the judge sitting have a specific outlook and it's likely to come out in a certain way. Of course, you don't want to foresee or we don't want to predict how judges will rule, but every human being has some sort of influence. Why is this such a problem in Ghana? Identify judges as one with this outlook and one with another outlook.
So what it is our actual democracy is rooted deeply in tribalism instead of ideology, right?
All right.
Instead of actual where the NDC is a social democrat party, and then the MPP, I really don't know whether they are conservative or they are right-leaning. I really can't tell. Honestly, I know they are supposed government for business and tax reduction and all that, which is certainly become almost center-right. Not exactly all the way to right and center-right.
They are supposed to be the center-right, but they govern as though they are center-left. Because if you look at all the free SHS and all that stuff, that is really center-left policies. The NDC, who's supposed to actually govern as a center-left, governs as a center-right. They are the ones.
That is not true.
Oh,
it's because no. It's because sometimes we want to set structures and things in place. Okay. Before we come to those things,
when it comes to your term, you can explain all the beautiful stuff.
I hear you.
Okay.
So our political philosophy is not really rooted in ideology or some staunch policy that this is how we are going and this judge. It is only human nature that we lend ourselves to subjectivity. It's normal, right? You have things that you like, you have people you don't like. It is normal. There are people that love NDC, not because for anything. There's somebody will even tell you because NDC, the color of their flag or whatever, they love NDC. To somebody, they love MPP because their grandmother told them their store was destroyed because whatever. That's why they are following MPP. Case closed. So based on that, it is not really a liking based on policy or ideology, right? It's based almost like, okay, I like this, I don't like this, and that's it. The very elite, the very top of the food chain, they know exactly what they are doing. So if they select or elect a judge to be at a certain court to make certain decisions, you should also know how our society is not based on any level of independence or fairness. Right. Because the judiciary, there should be, at least on the face value, there should be an impression of independence. At least they should look independent to us. It doesn't matter who selected them. The Supreme Court of the United States, on book, it looks like it's a very independent judiciary because there's been cases where conservative judges have gone on to the left to vote with them on certain policies. Now, with that being said, that could attest to the independence of that apex court. But when it comes to our end, there is almost sort of a mishmash of the rules. Just because this president elected this judge, you are almost certainly going to be tagged with them. Even when you don't agree with them,
Where
there will be pundits
there
or
were there are
political
cases,
commentators on radio. That will say again, there will be
I was
political
just gonna say
commentators
there
on
were
radio.
cases that, even all the judges sitting over those cases were actually all appointed by General Rawlings, but at the same time, the ruling came back and it was in a negative. So you
Correct. So
say,
on that face value, how
yeah,
does it look to you? It looks like they are independent. They are strong. They
yeah,
don't care whether we brought us here or not. We are going
right.
to make
And
the
so
news for
we
this
want them
country.
to embrace that. You could be somebody who has a leaning ideologically towards, because at the end of the day, the judges vote. All right. When we do
Correct.
the campaigns at the end of the year, they all vote and they vote for particular presidential candidates or particular party. So you can be seen as a political whatever, a judge that has a political leaning without a problem. It should not affect your judgment, right? When you go to judge a matter, we expect you to be independent, look at the evidence, the fact before you, and apply the law. That's all we expect out of our judge. We are not saying they should look at the evidence, the facts before them, the law, and their political leaning. That one should be gone.
So
Yeah.
I am happy that in as much as lifetime legacy will put his NDC political twist to it,
Mhm.
I know exactly the case that he was talking about. It seems like somebody can make a certain preposterous allegation against the judge, and the person
Mhm.
will go court. And I believe in the case of, for example, in the case of Susu, he would be punished because they could not get him for the initial demonstration and all this confusion that he had caused. So they will find some way somehow to tag him. But it is normal. People speak. For example, the manner in which, for example, one of our Supreme Court judges, what's his name? The one that had all these sexual allegations going back, what's the guy? What's his name? It's apart from no Gossage. Gossage is a recent one. There was one before Gossage. I forgot his name.
Oh,
The
you're talking about the U.S. guy, the one they were
yeah
the last one Trump actually.
yeah
What,
well,
yeah, that couple of ladies came out to say,
correct. And then
yeah,
correct. So that guy, for instance, there's been a couple. I'm a weirdo like that. Sometimes I follow Supreme Court judgments. I don't know. I read on law reviews and stuff. So there
right,
are there are cases that the conservative lawyers that are arguing the case in the Supreme Court think that hey, we have this on the wrap, and this guy would move and make a case that I don't think the case merits this thing. So once they vote on that, they vote against it to the conservative pundits and all that, they will start shouting and making a case that why did even the president elect this guy or select this guy to be on the Supreme Court if it's
right.
not going to be in our favor? But that is not the whole idea of having a Supreme Court or having a set of 9 or 6 judges. Ghana has what, 6 or 7?
18.
8.
18.
No, the
18 judges. Supreme
18.
Court.
The Supreme Court judges in Ghana are 18.
18.
18?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wow.
I know you
Bro,
can check.
I thought it was 9.
bro. Let's
I
check.
didn't know.
You can
Wow.
check.
I
It's
mean,
18.
I didn't know. Honestly, I didn't know. All this, I thought it were maybe 7 or maybe 8 or
No.
something.
No.
What are you doing?
I'm checking. But go ahead. Go ahead with the
Okay,
submission.
so the point is, then if you have all these people, they are all going to have their own subjective ideas as to how things to move or how things to go. But for Sosu speaking like that, I do not agree to why he will speak like that. In a way, I believe he's becoming notorious to this sensationalism media thing. I used to respect him a lot because I know people around him, I know his story, and I've always been a champion of. But recently, because of this notoriety that he has garnered because of this demonstration, I don't think he should speak like that. In as much
Okay.
as some other people have spoken recklessly, doesn't mean because lifetime legacy, for instance, I have a lot of respect for him. I would never. He seems very cool and quiet, so I would never. If he did something, it would shock me. Even though I don't know him personally, by his demeanor, I have a certain predisposed idea of him, right? So I would never expect you, Alfred, you know me, and if you hear that I have done something, it will shock you. It's the same shock that I have in the case of Susu. With Kennedy and Japan and Co., I don't expect everybody knows they will go in the gutter with you, say someone else. There are some people that don't operate that way.
Right.
You can say all the evil things that you want to say about Ibrahim Muhammad. He will never mind you. He will not mind you. You will be backing and backing. Wow, they wouldn't even pay you attention. Sometimes it's not everything that we have to speak on. Even though it looks reckless, it looks offish, sometimes then let's just let it be. Eventually, posterity will judge all of us. Posterity will judge all of us.
Guys, so I just look at the constitutional provision for how many Supreme Court judges we have. There's no way we have 18 judges in Supreme Court in Ghana. So lifetime legacy, correct your facts.
How many do we have?
The court is presided over by the Chief Justice, and in his absence, the most senior one of the justices as constitution shall preside. Judges who fit. So it says the Supreme Court consists of the Chief Justice and not less than 9 justices. Period.
Alfred.
Yeah.
You are talking of impaneling. I am telling you on authority that the justices we have in Ghana now are 18.
Okay, hold on.
You are talking of impaneling.
So
I will not sit on this big platform.
Here are the names, okay? Currently, we have Justice Jones Doche, right? Is he still there? Bafo Boni, Justice Gabriel Palmer, Justice Doji, Agnes M.A. Doji, Justice Nene Abayete Ofoye Amagate. All right? Justice Professor, okay, then there's Justice Maria Mausu, and there's one more. So, matter of fact, we don't have 18. I mean, I stand to be corrected.
Okay. But... Do you know how you get the facts right? All the justices you have mentioned now are those that were appointed recently by Akufo-Addo.
Okay, so the justices of the Supreme Court, matter of fact, I see 13 of them anyway.
And I'm telling you on authority that the list is more than 13.
Okay.
But when it comes, for instance, during the election petition, 7 justices sat on the issue.
Okay.
When there was a review, 2 more were added. You get it? If there had been another review, another set of judges would have been added. Okay. So I know what I'm talking about. I will not sit on this big platform and make a statement that are not factual.
Okay, so far I've only seen the name of 13, and this is the website for the Supreme Court. I've mentioned how many so far. So there's Professor Ni Ashikote, who I didn't mention. There is Justice Avril Lovelace Johnson.
You know, even one recently passed.
Justice Gertrude Tokuno. There is Tokono. Okay. Then there is Clemens Honyenuga. And then there is Isifu Omoro Tanko Amadu. And then there's Professor Henrietta Joy Abena Nyaku Mensabonsu.
And those were all judges appointed by Nanado.
And there is Emmanuel Yoni Kulendi.
These are Nanado alone, I think, he appointed about 11.
All right.
When he came. But before that, you haven't mentioned the one that passed quite recently. One even recently passed.
Right.
What is even the name?
Okay, let's take a quick break and then we come back and talk about the other issue, which is the politicization of the death of Professor John Evans Atta Mills. All right, we will be right back.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid Health Insurance Program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply: your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
All right, welcome back to the show. Second segment of the show would be discussing here the politicization of the death of Atta Mills. This ugly situation comes up every now and then, and it seems to always come from one segment of our political aisle. In other words, it seems that the current ruling party always stirs this up every now and then. And in recent episode of what I'm calling ugly politicization of the former presidents, we had Honorable Arnaud Dompré, and Arnaud Dompré actually used to be NUC secretary when I was in school in the University of Cape Coast. He went to school. He was in the University of Cape Coast at the same time. So this guy has been somebody I've seen in action for a very long time. And in recent times, for whatever reason, he's in the front of. He's a majority whip in Parliament right now. Congratulations to him for rising high. But he's been, sort of used in a ways that I find disappointing. One, why am I saying so? We had last week or so where he was the one who said the e-levy cake was sent by an NDC person, and that hasn't been proven. He hasn't come back to actually clarify that again, etc., etc. Whether that is true or not, we don't know. And then here goes him again, suggesting that we probe into the death of Professor John Evans Atta Mills against the wishes of the family. I don't know if he did this in consultation with the family, but this is somebody who also have loved ones. I know he was the former president, but it is true that in our country, medical informations are private, especially one that actually examine the dead body of a person to determine what was their cause of death. That is a private matter. Even Ghana can decide that they want to reveal that if the family of Atta Mills says no, there is no way that information should be released. So why is a sitting member of parliament who should know or knows what ought to be done in this particular instance stirring this up? And I'm tempted to say, just for the political capital that he can gain from that, why is Arnaud Dompré and his NDC colleagues politicizing the death of John Atta Mills? Over to you, F.O. Kwame.
So my people are here. So
I see that. We love them. They should.
Whenever you leave them for a few minutes, they will just come right up. Anyway, this issue, I believe it should have been laid to rest. The man has suffered so much humiliation. He's somebody that I loved, and I thought he was the hope of Ghana because I loved how disciplined he was, and whether it was an homicide case or not. This man has been dead and gone. Let us leave it alone. Right. You are sort of revisiting the trauma and the pain of the family.
Right.
What at all that Arnaud Dompré and co? What are they looking for? What are they
looking for? Yep.
The same point that I had made earlier. Sometimes, I know.
People make the argument that he's a national asset, right? Former president makes him a national asset, and therefore. His autopsy is very important too, and the citizens should know because he's a sitting president.
So are you telling me that since the man died, has there not been any autopsy since he supposed national asset, no autopsy was conducted? I'm asking the question. This is quite an obvious. Was there no autopsy done? I'm asking. Seriously. I'm actually lifetime legacy. Was no autopsy done on Professor Mills? I'm
That's
just asking.
possible.
It's so funny how whenever
Family says there was an autopsy and they have that, and so they don't have any need to actually revisit. They have the autopsy.
exactly. So the point I'm making here is this: why has it become so necessary, and the opposition MPs are the ones that want to revisit this case? Why would they want to do that? Why? This man was humiliated when he was in power. Why has he become of use to you now that he's dead? Sometimes there's an account proverb that says that sometimes when somebody is dead, let them keep on sleeping in peace. Leave them alone. I don't know why this all of it. Hold on. One second. I'm speaking from a government PR point of view. With this e-levy war ongoing, all of a sudden there's all these dead things that are coming up and then clouding our judgment. So now the women and all these people that were angry against this e-levy, now they are consumed in the market, talking about the exhumation of Atamils and all the. Guess what? Now they are forgotten about the case that is ongoing. My brother, some of this thing, it is Governance 101, Chapter 1, Deception. It is normal. This is a normal modus operandi of most government. I'm not on prayer and all this. They are not family people. If the family had insisted there was some foul play that had gone on, then I can understand because it's coming from the family. But you are not a family member. You are an opposition member.
No relationship.
I don't know. Correct. I don't know whether this is some sort of strategy of the government to sort of, whenever there is a heated issue, all of a sudden during the pandemic time, there were a lot of all these issues, and all you hear is some mysterious, unnecessary entertainment issue will come and just disrupt everything. Right. And then now the issue that should have been of major concern to us, it is no longer a concern to us. Now the excuse my line, quote unquote, unnecessary stuff becomes necessary. Come on, when are we going to go forward? We move 2 steps ahead and we move 5 steps backward. The man has been dead for how many years now? Let him sleep in peace. Let the man sleep in peace. He suffered so much humiliation, disrespect, and all that. This is a sort of an extension of the disrespect that they have done to him. Come on, this man was shown a lot of disrespect. Let us not kill ourselves here. No president in the history of Ghana has been that disrespected like President Mills. And then now that he's gone, we want to go and do what? Come on, man. Come on. That's unnecessary. I believe it's unnecessary. I would have wished Kakape and Co and Dr. Bedu and all these guys were here so that we hear this point out. They should talk to their people. This is unnecessary.
Yeah, because
what is necessary
we had
getting Ghanaians to work, let them get money in their pocket, let the security porosity in the country should be resolved, and then the country should be developed as they are continuously pushed. Because this week, David TDJs was praising the government. I'm like, oh, that is that living Ghana. That is surprising. Anyway, I'll let my brother Lifetime Legacy continue.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys can hear me, but Lifetime, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So it is that it is true that whenever something really important is being discussed, of course these distractions get introduced, and we've seen it on both sides of the aisle. But in this particular case, where we are playing with the life of a deceased former president, it becomes painful to the family, and we should be sensitive to that. So Lifetime Legacy, here's the issue. This is something that does.
I'll give you
NEC does this too. So
I'll give you a practical scenario.
Yeah.
In 2012, when the late Professor Mills died, the people who were at the bashing end, as far as the nation was concerned, were the MPP. because of the way they have treated the man when he was alive. They've called him all sort of names, and right when he passed, and then they begin to saying all sort of things, good
Sort of
things
good
about
things
him.
about him, like Asumju Hini and all that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that the entire nation saw how hypocrites the MPP and its members were.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just after the 2012 election, they adopted this strategy where when you continue to peddle falsehood, then it becomes a reality or it becomes true. They did that until they won the what do you call it, the weak hearts from the central region, which inured to their benefits for the 2016 election. So when you look at the turnout of 2016 election, it was very, very clear that a lot of people bought into the evil propaganda they peddled just before the election.
Okay.
I knew the brother of Atamils, Samuel Atamils. I knew him very well.
Mm-hmm.
Proud to he be elected in 2016. But then I was in Elmina working for the installation of the fish processing plants as
Mm-hmm.
one of the technicians. So I time to time when anytime in the town, I go to the party office and then spend time with the executives over there.
Mm-hmm.
So I know him one on one. So these people in MPP, they are such a people. Anytime they are under pressure, where they are on, they knows that all odds are against them. They try to come out with something that will take the attention of the nation to that particular thing. Unfortunately, this particular one was started by um, a former member of us. I mean, former member of our party.
Kwekwanyi Doho.
Yeah, he started it.
Right.
Where he says that he had problem with Atamil's heritage, memorial heritage being inaugurated. So he was in the media all over, making all sort of comments to the extent that the ultimate beneficiary of what do you call it? The negative beneficiary or the negative impact will be against Mahama. That is the ultimate aim. That if they succeeded in saying all manner of things that Professor Mills, it's Atamils who he killed Atamils and all those things. If they succeeded in doing that, then the chances or the fortune of the NDC in the central region will go and will continue to do that. That was this thing. So one, if MPP is under pressure, where all odds are against them, you see some of these things.
Right.
Two, they are doing this for mischievous and diabolic reason. And like I said earlier on, it's coming from just because an institution that the party will recognize going forward has launched because of the pain our brother Anyidoho's heart. He have set the tone, and these people are trying to capitalize on it.
Right.
For me, the response from Mr. Samuel Atamils, for me, he have said it all. There is nothing anybody else can add to what he have said.
Right.
We all, even though directly we all didn't know what killed the former president. J.J. Rawlings was on record to have told us what killed the former president. J.J. Rawlings was the first person to tell the nation.
I mean, he's not a coroner, the coroner, so we need to be. I mean,
no, don't forget, this is the person he have worked with for years.
Right.
Okay, this is his vice. And J.J. Rawlings, proud just after the demise of Atamils, told the entire nation that the man died out of cancer.
Yeah, I mean, so that is also known because I think at some point he was told from what we've all heard already.
And
he
there
has
is no way
time that he was
J.J.
gonna die.
Rawlings will tell the entire nation this if he have no information.
Right.
You get it.
Right.
So if I don't know what else did they.
I mean, we all saw him go for treatment and came back looking fragile, running at the airport to show us that he was actually he still got it. So we saw this coming. Anyway, so guys, I think we're running out of time. Let's say final words and wrap up because we've done our 2 hours and I know we got things to do, including yourselves. I see the babies coming up, trying to get their time back, which is good. So let me start from Mr. Fuji so you can actually go and take care of my beautiful god kids that I see in the shots over there. So tell us your last words, your expression about some of the discussions we have. We are grateful that you actually made it and some of the contributions are just on point. But leave our viewers and listeners with your last words for today.
My final words, as always, this even though it was just me and Lifetime Legacy, it's been quite educational. And as always, our show always brings you the best out there on the social media platforms. So hopefully we'll get to meet again. But my final thoughts on this criminal libel law that was repealed and is being replaced with supposed freedom of speech kind of thing. And with the current the current atmosphere where journalists are being gagged or being forced to kowtow to a certain line of thinking, I don't think it speaks well of Ghana and the so-called democratic hub that we are trying to be in the West African sub-region.
Right.
So I ask that if you are anybody here that is associated or affiliated with the government in power, please talk to them. Power is not permanent. Power is not forever. What has been done to other people, it could also be done to you. And when it is being done to you, please do not complain or do not because now the internet they call something receipts. People have videos, people have chats, people have things that they can come and use against you. If we are truly we want to be this partisan democratic dispensation thing that we've all become known for, then we should do it right. We should not let one person feel that when you are out of power, you are useless, you have no thoughts, you have no ideas. If you go to Germany, you go to a lot of these supposed advanced countries, they allow certain opposite views so that whatever the government is doing will have a critique, will be criticized, so it will be done better
on it. Correct.
For the import of the whole country. Ghana doesn't belong to FPP, Ghana doesn't belong to NDC, Ghana belongs to all of us. If there is something that is happening in Ghana, we all stuck here. Me, I love going to Ghana. So I'm praying that Ghana will develop, Ghana will become a better place. So we cannot go home after we've done all the work that we've done here, retire, Oluman, you have your small farm, and then you go and rest peacefully.
All right, so we can all go enjoy the Takrady and Sekedi Christmas parades, which I know you love doing every year.
Oh, God. You should go with us this year.
Of course. God willing, we'll all go and celebrate with our people. Christmas at Takrady, I'm sure is unbeatable. Nowhere else.
We call it 1J.
Legacy, you the one guy.
I schooled in Takrady Police, so.
Okay.
So Takrady there 1J.
All right. So
it's a place that when you are able to survive, you can survive everywhere.
I'm telling you. Yeah. I thought it was a flower, but anyway. Lifetime Legacy. Every good conversation, or when the conversation is this interesting, time flies, right? So we did justice to the topic, even though we were expecting Efa to bring the heat. But unfortunately,
he's running away.
He ran away from us today. But on the platform last week, he was he was really active, and I'm sure he's gonna come back and say all kinds of things on the platform. And hopefully, we can get him to show up. And of course, with Paul in Ghana to return safely and join us for our next episode. I think the president, from what I've heard, is going to be giving the State of the Nation on March 3rd. Well, before I make that as a show announcement, I want to hear your last words, and I could put that out.
Alfred, all that I will say is that
Mhm.
those who allow the journalists to do their job.
Right.
If there is somebody who has been the biggest beneficiary of the recklessness of the media, he is the biggest beneficiary.
Right.
So if the media decided to pay him by the dose that they serve others, it should allow them to do their job. He should be the Democrats that we all perceive him to be.
Right.
From look of things, he's becoming too authoritarian than what he's noted for. So
Okay.
he should allow the media to do their job. Let people express themselves freely as they've done in his predecessors, and the Ghana will be the winner.
All right. Ghana would definitely be the winner, especially on March 3rd, where we are expecting the president to come to Parliament and do his duty of delivering what we refer to as the State of the Nation. The State of the Nation is coming on March 3rd. What day is that? Because what we're going to be doing is we would be discussing that on the 5th. On the 26th, which is next Saturday, is when we will now be on air. So this is our last show for February. We'll return on the 5th to discuss the State of the Nation, which we expect from the president on Thursday, March 3rd. It's been a great show. I've enjoyed all the conversations. Lifetime Legacy was on fire. So is my Olin Boga that goes to Ghana with 5 cities. Boga, Estonian Boga. All right. My name is Alfred Amuzu, and as usual, I'm your host of this show that comes your way every Saturday. These discussions we've had today have been very interesting. We found 2 pieces of legislations in our statutes that we feel like, somehow, from my standpoint, are a little restrictive, and sounds like we are, backdoor we are bringing through the back door criminal liable, because if this is on the books, they are subject to abuse. Maybe, as suggested by Lifetime Estonian Borga, they should be looked at and modernized. So it is in your courts. Our MPs, please take up the challenge and look at the criminal code, which was passed in 1960 during the First Republic, and see how we can flesh it up. Take down some of the things that perhaps are not useful or applicable for our current times. On that note, I say thanks for watching. It's been great being your host for the last 2 hours, and I want to take a special moment to say thanks to my guest, Kwame Fuji, Estonian Boga, for making it. And even though the kids would prefer to have those 2 hours, but we are grateful that we were the beneficiaries. And also to Lifetime Legacy for his commitment and always coming here with a lot of fire in his belly. We will be back 2 weeks from now to discuss the State of the Nation. On that note, have a good weekend, and thanks for watching.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are